Yo, the Bitcoin option markets just went live last week, and the data in the first week of trading is suggesting 180K Bitcoin by December 20th is much more likely than you could ever imagine. The launch of this historic options product has not only uncovered how bullish traders are on Bitcoin, but they've also broken all sorts of records. The only ETF options in the world that saw more trading volume than IBITs were the SPY and the QQQs, and we'll break that down for you later. And today, we're also going to break down all of this and discuss why the $1 quadrillion, you heard that right, $1 quadrillion derivatives market could be FOMOing into Bitcoin. But before we dive into this confusing rabbit hole of options and break down the bullish numbers, let's play this little video that went live on Squawk Box explaining options and what they mean for Bitcoin.
All-time high, getting closer now to the $94,000 level, and this happening as ETF options going live, giving investors a new way to hedge their exposure. Kenzie Segalis is here, joins us with more this morning. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Andrew.
So what's going on?
Is what U.S. crypto investors have been waiting for. On Tuesday, the NASDAQ listed options on Blackrock's $44 billion spot Bitcoin ETF. Now, day one of trading showed that more than 80% of options volume were call orders to buy Bitcoin, meaning that investors are betting that the token is poised for even more gains. And this is just the first of the U.S.-based asset issuers to offer options. The other 10 providers will soon follow suit, with several more slated to list on the New York Stock Exchange later today. Now, this is really a significant moment for Bitcoin adoption, because rather than just buying and holding the asset, this next stage is all about creating a new margin framework for Bitcoin so that you can amplify your returns. Being able to hedge positions and make leveraged bets is a big draw both to retail and to institutions. And even though we've seen a lot of trading volume on the CME derivatives exchange, getting options tied to these spot crypto products on the NASDAQ and NYSE is a big unlock for traders, because ultimately, Andrew, a more robust onshore derivatives market is how you attract fresh investment, which is a tailwind for the price of Bitcoin.
It really boggles the mind what I was just thinking about. You could write calls. You could write calls. You could buy puts to protect your downside. You could sell puts to acquire Bitcoin at a lower price than where it is. You can do spreads. You can do straddles. The volatility is so high, the option premiums must be exorbitant. So you could sell options.
But so then the question is, does the volatility come down materially?
And that's what a lot of analysts say will happen.
Yeah. If that happens, but does that then put a cap on it, or does that?
Can it happen? Because that's a tail wagging the dog. Because Bitcoin is in here. Yeah, but by definition, Bitcoin has been volatile. Do you think options really could lessen the volatility of the underlying asset?
I mean, that's what some analysts are saying, especially as you build out a more robust market infrastructure around this, you bring in more institutional money. And what I will say in terms of like building out what you can do with these spot crypto products, you've got Grayscale updating its prospectus just this week to do a covered call ETF for Bitcoin. So you're seeing that those are the products that these issuers are indexing toward, rather than having, spot funds around all of these altcoins.
Because you just mentioned 80% of the volume is in calls, so that must mean they're rich premiums in the calls. You could sell those, and if it doesn't hit it, you just keep that premium.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it protects your downside if it goes down a little.
Thank you for coming in.
Of course, guys, I'm here with our fearless leader, Nico, in the co-host seat. But let's break down some of these numbers. So you got Eric Balkunis, of course, senior ETF analyst for Bloomberg, kind of running down some of the numbers, and I will break down an article, kind of giving you guys a little more context. Here's his tweet. A few hundred million so far in options volumes on IBIT, a ton for day one. And you can see here's a rank of the contracts by volume. It's almost all calls. Seems very bullish, especially the December 20th C100, which is basically betting price of BTC will double in the next month. Now, let's break down this CoinDesk article about the Bitcoin ETF options titled Bitcoin ETF Options Introduction Marks Milestone Despite Position Limits. BlackRock's IBIT was the first U.S. spot Bitcoin ETF to launch with options tied to it. The rest of the pack comes later Wednesday. Now, breaking down some of this article, the IBIT option surpassed $2 billion in notional exposure, and the launch of options on Bitcoin ETFs had the approval of just 25,000 contracts as a position limit. So another Bitcoin linked product, another success story. This time it's options tied to BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust, aka the IBIT, which went live on NASDAQ Tuesday of last week, giving them a one-day head start over some competitors, which began trading the next day. Now, IBIT, which has a market cap of $44 billion, saw over $2 billion in options trading in notional value. The ETF itself traded over $4 billion in volume, surpassed only by the SPDR S&P 500 ETF Trust, aka the SPY, and then Invesco QQQ Trust Series 1, and the iShares Russell 200 ETF, IWM, which all have much higher market caps according to CoinGlass data. So, these big ETFs, they have good numbers, but for the size of Bitcoin, the IBIT options, and even the ETF in general is just breaking records. As we saw in the first sentence, another Bitcoin linked product, another success story. So breaking this article down a little more, senior Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric Balchunas hailed the success of day one performance of the IBIT options. However, it hasn't challenged the top ETFs yet, but he expects that to come in the next few days or weeks. And here's a quote: 1.9 billion is unheard of for day one. For context, BITO did 363 million, and that's been around for 4 years. Also, this is with 25,000 contract position limits. That said, 1.9 billion isn't quite a big dog level yet, though gold did 5 billion today, but give it a few more days and weeks, Balchunas says. And the interesting parts of Balchunas' statement is that the position limit size in IBIT and other Bitcoin ETF options is tighter than those in traditional finance. They have been approved for just 25,000 contracts, meaning that a market participant can only hold or control a maximum of 25,000 contracts at a given point. Now, the article kind of breaks down going further. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but essentially, the Bitcoin ETF IBIT options is still being limited and throttled by the traditional financial system, which is kind of the story we've been hearing all year in regards to Bitcoin. Yes, they're allowing Bitcoin to get through the door, but they're still kind of putting guardrails on the Bitcoin products. And even with all that said, it's still absolutely going nuclear. Anyways, one last quote here. And this is from, Jeff Park. And he goes, "It's clear to me that the CME group would prefer Bitcoin to trade primarily as futures, positioning itself as a dominant market with launches like BFFs, Bitcoin Fridays futures. And if the CFTC had been as politicized as the SEC, we might not have had a fair launch at all," which is very interesting considering that we now know Gary Gensler is resigning January 20, 2025. All right, now let's go into a little more data. Shouts out to Joe Consorti on Twitter. And he goes, the IBIT options day one so far, the December 20th, 2024 expiry is seeing its highest volume in $65 strike calls, with IBIT trading at $52.76. Going to 65 reflects a spot Bitcoin price of $114,339. The TLDR, the market is bullish that Bitcoin's price ends the year well over 100K. Now, moving forward a little bit, this is where it starts getting crazy. We have Joe McCain on Twitter, and he goes, the IBIT $100 strikes continue to trade crazy volume with super high open interest. For these options to be in the money, Bitcoin must trade around $180,000 by December 20th, 2024. Could we see a 100% increase by the end of this year? Roughly what? 29 days, 30 days, a month from now? That would be insane. Now, I did open the show with this $1 quadrillion derivatives market meme, and this is kind of, people debate this a little bit, but as you can see, I use Perplexity again here, guys. The derivatives market is one of the largest financial markets in the world, characterized by its immense size and complexity. The notional value of the derivatives market is often cited as exceeding $1 quadrillion. So obviously, all that money isn't going to flow to Bitcoin, but you heard it right. Basically, $1 quadrillion is now being opened up and potentially going to go into Bitcoin. And the extremely bullish nature of this is the traders out there are looking at Bitcoin like we all look at it, and they're like, the end of the year is going to be crazy. Now, are we going to see 180K by the end of the year? Who knows? All we know, at least from the trading sentiment, is that everyone is expecting Bitcoin's going to be above 100K by the end of the year, which on today's price isn't that crazy. It's only 3K. Yes, 100K is a psychological number here, But it does seem like the end of the year, Christmas, holiday season, we might be seeing a lot of bullish movement in the Bitcoin price, which is going to set up an extremely bullish 2025. And who knows, we might not just get 1 year of the last leg up of the bull run. It could be a little longer, and we're going to break that down in the numbers later. But anyways, Nico, are you surprised that Wall Street, TradFi is this bullish on Bitcoin? Obviously, options is a rabbit hole. It is a little confusing for most of us 65 IQ Bitcoiners. But man, does it surprise you how bullish they are on Bitcoin?
No, not at all, man. I think really Michael Saylor is pioneering right now, and he's essentially proving to the world that he has found a glitch in the fiat matrix, and he's leveraging that glitch to essentially buy, an unlimited amount of Bitcoin, and his price, it's just like this self-fulfilling prophecy, and his stock is just tearing. It's just ripping to new highs. And again, it's like a rinse and repeat. And he might have found a glitch in this debt fiat system that we live in. And a lot of people are speculating, where's the top? Where could this be at? I mean, if he truly did find a glitch in the system, there is no top, and I think I've heard him talk about this in the past before. We are in uncharted territory. That's what I'll say. But from a Bitcoin price perspective, can we hit 180K by the end of the year? Absolutely. I think we can hit 180K by January, by February, easily, just on people anticipating a crypto, pro Bitcoin administration going into the White House. Yeah, for sure. Listen, a lot of people were not expecting Bitcoin we were in the 60s and we were in purgatory. We were depressed. I don't know if you guys remember a month ago how you felt, or 2 months ago. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, even with Bitcoin at these crazy high numbers and the amount of capital it takes to move, we went from 60 to 99 in a snap of a finger, right? So anything could happen. That's why the best strategy is stay humble, stack sats, stay solvent, just acquire Bitcoin, think the long term, and you're going to be fine. But this MicroStrategy story is not over. And what it's proved to Wall Street is a bunch of hungry hyenas right now. And they're holy, this thing is awesome. And they're trying to figure out, should I buy MicroStrategy? Should I buy spot Bitcoin? Can we make trade? I've seen stocks, you guys could see this too, where it's a volatility it's a leverage volatility play on MicroStrategy. The name of the stock is MSTU, and essentially it does double what MicroStrategy does. So if MicroStrategy goes down, it will go down double. If MicroStrategy goes up, it will go up double. It's so crazy. So, and this is what Opti was talking about. They can just come up with these freaking products out of nowhere, and just figure out how to monetize Bitcoin in different ways. Now, I do want to emphasize this because this is simply Bitcoin at the end of the day. There's two things happening. There's two phenomenons, okay? And both of them could be true at the same time. And that's what I want everyone to keep in mind. And we just broke 2,000 live viewers. So if you guys are enjoying the show, smash the like button. Help us break 100 likes within the first 20 minutes of the show. But this is what I'll say. Wall Street right now, it's they just discovered a brand new toy, and they're going nuts. They're oh my God, this is crazy. This is nuts. Could that be bullish for the price from an investment perspective? Absolutely. But we have to remember why we're here. I actually thought about this for a long time last night, and it was because I saw this chess grandmaster talk about Bitcoin and the implications of Bitcoin. And he's these Bitcoin bros, they just want to get rich. They just want to get money. But there's something underlying here that if it becomes possible, I don't think people understand what is about to happen. And that is the revolution, right? Bitcoin, the revolution. Bitcoin, the revolution only happens one way. And that is buying Bitcoin, earning Bitcoin, mining Bitcoin and putting that Bitcoin into self-custody. If enough of us do it, we will effectuate change. So yes, number go up, great, amazing, phenomenal. But we have to remember why we're here. We have to remember what we're fighting for, and we have to remember what the end goal is, because that's what's going to actually change the world and make the world a much better place. The separation of money and state, and in the process of that, freeing the individual from this machine, essentially, that enslaves them, the way that I see it. Anyways, Opti, shout out to Opti, because I've been doing some stuff in the morning the last 3 days, and he's been absolutely crushing it as a host with these opening monologues. So,
well, hey, Nico, thank you. Appreciate it. But before you go on, before we get the show going, you kind of reminded me of the meme of, Bitcoin is the Trojan horse into Wall Street for freedom. We always talk about this. And it is very interesting that now they are very much getting engaged and they're loving Bitcoin. And like you said, it's like their new toy, and they're obviously all looking for gains. Though there is kind of a growing trend right now with a lot of Bitcoiners. I don't know if it's because we're all contrarian, where like we still believe that Bitcoin is a Trojan horse into Wall Street for freedom. But, part of me also is starting to feel like maybe Wall Street being the Trojan horse into Bitcoin is not all the good things that we think it will be. And I think this is where the battle is. And it's what you just said, we're obviously, we all love to see number go up, but the real important aspect here is freedom go up. And I think that's why it's very important for every single one of us to stay vigilant and make sure that we are taking Bitcoin into custody, make sure you're securing your own Bitcoin. And obviously, if you don't have money in the traditional financial system, then you don't just want Bitcoin exposure through these ETFs and options, but it is going to show that there is a lot of interest in Bitcoin. And as Eric Balkunas was saying, these numbers are only going to grow, which means a lot of that Wall Street money is going to get unlocked and it's going to come into Bitcoin. They're going to pump it up, but it's I think more important than ever for every single one of us to stay vigilant, make sure you're taking your coins into custody. If you have cold storage Bitcoin, they can't take that from you. That is where the real freedom money aspects come from. So I think it's very important to kind of remember this as we continue to move forward and progress and mature as an industry. And Wall Street obviously wants those Bitcoin gains because it's the best performing thing, period. We've been seeing this constantly this year, and now it's becoming truer and truer as the years go on. So 2025 is going to be very interesting. Anyways, Nico, hit the ad.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody. I do want to give a shout out to our lead sponsor. Of course, I'm talking about Bitcoin Well. Bitcoin Well is the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack. Again, to get started, go to bitcoinwell.com today. You put in your email address. Takes about 2 to 5 minutes to get signed up. It's very seamless. And again, what makes Bitcoin Well different than all the other on-ramps, it is a completely non-custodial exchange, meaning they don't even hold your Bitcoin. As soon as the funds clear, your Bitcoin goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address. Also, if you're a high net worth individual and you want white glove service, check out the Bitcoin Well Infinite product, which just released. It's a Bitcoin OTC desk with infinite opportunity. What does that mean? So again, if you're a higher net worth individual and you're tired of dealing with Coinbase and that UI, and it's like takes away the human element out of it, and you want to deal with a human being, they hold you through the process of buying and selling Bitcoin. Again, a lot better experience in dealing with it with a non-human UI. Check out bitcoinwell.com/OTC. You could also send me an email at nico@bitcoinwell.com. I'll personally get you connected. Also, if when you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, you earn Bitcoin Well points, and you could redeem those points towards the Bitcoin Wishing Well contest. So we're going to toss a coin into the Wishing Well right now. Get your Lightning wallets ready. First person to scan the QR code has won 2,100 sats. Again, you win every time you play, and you have an opportunity to win up to 1 million Satoshis. To get started, head over to bitcoinwell.com and use promo code simplybtc. Again, simplybtc to sign up. All right, everybody, let's hit the numbers. We have tons to talk about today. Let's check it out. I want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Stamp Seed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure?
Are your seed words really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of writing them down on paper. Don't do that. Paper sucks. You want to literally stamp your seed into this plate of titanium. Your words are actually stamped into the metal plate with this hammer. So once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and your pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They are also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and most importantly, because this is generational wealth, time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin for the long haul. I mean, here is the plate that they crushed. They put in water, they put a blowtorch to it, and as you can see, the words have survived. Stamp your seed on StampSeed. And you can use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on their store. Head over to stampseed.com today.
All right. Imagine getting older. You're getting older and you want to pass on your Bitcoin to your loved ones, right? And imagine that very uncomfortable conversation when you're not able to pass it to them because for some whatever reason you wrote down your seed words on paper. That's going to be a terrible conversation. Don't put yourself in that situation, which is why you should head over to stampseed.com today. Use promo code SIMPLY, get 15% off, and stamp your seed into titanium. It's a really good idea, I promise you. So scan the QR code or check the link in the video description.
Yeah, sorry guys. I'm attacking all the bots in our Twitter videos. So if you're watching in Twitter and you're gonna comment, fight back against the bots. Anyways, I'm over here on Clark Moody's dashboard, and of course, wow, the Bitcoin price is currently at $95,030. Very interesting. I know everyone was watching, hoping that we'd get that 100K over the weekend, but it looks like we got a little dip and a little correction, healthy dip and healthy correction. Anyways, the sats per dollar, aka how much Bitcoin you can buy for a single dollar, aka how much a dollar is worth in Bitcoin, is currently at 1,052 sats per dollar. The current block height is 871,942. The market cap in fiat terms, in dollar terms, is $1.88 trillion. We're going to break that 2 trillion soon, guys, maybe by the end of the week. And the Bitcoin versus gold market cap is at 10.17%. Only 10% of the hard money game has been secured by Bitcoin. It is going to 100 soon enough. And the total money supply, the total percentage ever issued for Bitcoin, is currently at 94.22%, which means 19,787,102.36 Bitcoin are currently circulating. All right, guys. Now, I mentioned this in the beginning, this great clip coming out from Tuur Demester and our boy Marty Ben over at TFTC. This is what I've been saying. You know, I've been kind of joking about it on the show that maybe the cycle theory is kind of running its last course. I think we will still see cycles the next 4 years. But the way Tuur breaks this down, it just goes to show that this next year might be a little crazier than we think it is. And it could be a prolonged bull market, prolonged last leg of the bull market. And this is going in, I could have probably put this as a title because Tuur says within the span of 2 years, Bitcoin could hit $1 million. Now, before you call us crazy and hopped up on hopium, let's hear how Tuur explains this for you guys and how he's seeing that maybe this cycle isn't going to play out like the 2021 cycle. It might not even play out like the 2017 cycle. This time might be different, and we might be going all the way back to a 2013-esque bull run. So let's listen to this.
So anyway,
Sorry, what's going on over here?
You're playing it. I can hear it.
Oh, you hear it? All right, it's coming through my computer.
story short, to just say that.
Okay, yeah. I don't know what's going on. Let me change.
Send me the link. I got it.
Hold on.
So anyway, long story short, to just say that, you know, rather than predicting how high it's going to go, I want to say maybe there's, you know, psychological fuel in the tank for like a 2-year like real bull market. And then the fact that we're starting with such a big push right now in the beginning makes me very, very bullish. Yes. It reminds me of like 2013, where like people thought like, oh damn, like it's going Like we were to like $10 in 2012, and then we went to like 30, which was the previous all-time high, and then it just like zoomed past that, and we went to, I believe,
1400, right?
actually no, we went to 270 in the
Oh my
spring of
God.
2013,
Oh my God.
and then it declined. It went down to $80, and people thought it was over, and then that. In a span of just a few months, we just went back on the horse, and by the end of the year 2013, we were at $1,200. So like from 10 to 1,200, 100x in 2 years' time. You know, so the fact that we have so much going on right now, it makes me very bullish, and it makes me think like maybe this could be one of those two-legged, like there's going to be a big fake out, and then we just keep steaming forward.
Yeah.
And so all within a span of 2 years, yeah, we could hit $1
Oh,
million
man.
bucks. Like it's weird to say, but it's almost like only a 10x from here, really.
Okay, all right.
Wait, let me show the chart. Let me show the old
yeah,
chart
yeah.
here so people can visualize. Now you go, Nico, go.
No. This is great. I'm so glad you played this because this is like Monday morning hopium.
Monday
straight
bullishness
to the vein. Okay. I've been telling you. Okay. So what you guys are seeing, for anyone who's not familiar, like those are the cycles in terms of return, right? So obviously the first cycle, what Tuur was describing, full 452x. Then the second cycle, which is 2017, did 100x. Then the third cycle, which was 2021, did a 20x. Now, I have a theory about the third cycle, and I'm going to keep reiterating that effing theory. I think it was cut short. I know Checkmatey disagrees with me on this, but I'm sticking to my guns. I think it was cut short by the China ban and the sell pressure from those miners that needed to sell Bitcoin to relocate to a more favorable jurisdiction. I think it was an attack on the Bitcoin price by the CCP. I do not think it was a coincidence. Call me a conspiracy theory, call me whatever, and then you can sprinkle in the FTX debacle that happened. Now, what has that caused? Bitcoin does the exact opposite of what everyone thinks. And what I saw in the 2021 cycle was everyone and their mother thought this thing was going to hit 100K. Guaranteed. Back in 2021, mind you. And the whole plan B and the whole thing, right? The whole 9 yards. It didn't do it. And we went back to 16. Everyone got surprised. Everyone was let down. It was a big letdown of expectations. So what I'm seeing this cycle is the common theme that you get on Bitcoin Twitter is the expectation that Bitcoin is going to hit 100 to 200K. That's it. When everyone in the room is telling you what Bitcoin is going to do, Bitcoin does the opposite. Now, that can mean to the downside and that could mean to the upside. Technically, we could have hit the all-time high and we could be heading into a bear market, and it would make sense because no one is expecting it. Bitcoin does the opposite of what everyone expects. So what I personally believe, and I've been seeing this pattern over like the entire year, and the thing is, we don't remember what this feels like anymore. This has been a long time. So I'm class of 2016. I remember the 20x in 1 year that happened in 2017. A lot of you guys were minted that year, right? You guys became Bitcoiners. That was your class. And I remember that year like it was like yesterday. It was gnarly, right? In 2021, we didn't get that. And everyone was like chasing the dragon of 2017. Like they thought they were going to get that same, kick, but they never got it. So, we're heading into 2025. The stars and planets, political situation, regulatory situation, Wall Street situation, nation state situation, it's all effing aligned. It's all aligned. But we all forgot what a rip feels like. Like we've had little baby rips, but we all forget what a 2017 wakata whoosh feels like. And the problem is that when you forget what that feels like, you're like, I'm going to sell at 200. I'm going to sell at 150. I'm smart as shit. And I'm going to buy when this bad boy goes down to 70 because I'm a genius. And this thing just rips to 500, leaves you in the dirt. And you're like, oh my God, why did I do that? That is what Bitcoin does, right? Like if everyone thought they were smart as shit trading this thing, you know, everyone would have a lot more Bitcoin than they do. It's incredibly hard to predict where this thing goes. But I will tell you, I'm not an OG like Tuur. I haven't been here since 2013. My class was 2016. But I see the signs he sees. I see the same thing. And, you know, a lot of people were saying, Nico, the bull market, it's canceled. It's over. You know, when we were in the 60K region, I'm like, no, we're going to hit. You guys could go back and check the shows. I'm like, we're going to hit 100K by the end of the year. I was like very confident in that. And we're on the cusp of that. Now, what you're going to try to tell me, sit across the room, right? And just like use common sense, right? Because Bitcoin has not broken from its previous cycle patterns, right? You're going to look at me straight in the eye and you're going to be like, Nico, Bitcoin breaks 100K in 2024. So the year before the halving, right? And the year of the parabola, which was the year after the halving, which historically has always been the most explosive in Bitcoin's history, we're only going to 2x. I don't believe you. I just don't believe you. Now, am I going to trade on this information? Probably not. Am I going to do anything off this information? No. Is this speculation? 100%. But I'm telling you what my gut feels. Like I'm seeing what Tuur is saying is not that crazy because it's true. It's only a 10x. Now it's a crazy 10x. You know, like $1 million Bitcoin. We're at 100K. You're like, Nico, it's all gonna happen next year, bro. What the fuck? And I'm not saying that it will, but I'm telling you, it would be disappointing for me if Bitcoin only hit 150K next year. From where we are right now, we're at 95,000. If all of next year, 365 days of Trump's first year in office, MicroStrategy proving the Bitcoin strategy, giving a middle finger to all the other traditional, you know, wealth manager people. And then on the nation state level, you have Nayib Bukele just, again, giving the middle finger to the IMF saying, haha, I told you so. And now you're going to look at me straight in the face and you're going to say, Nico, we're only going to 150. I'm sorry, you know, and again, it's unbelievable because we forget what this feeling is like. We haven't felt this in Bitcoin in a really long time. Last time we paid our dues, we survived 2017, we survived 17 was a party. We survived 2018, we survived 2019, 2020. We're like, oh my God, it's like, you think you're like, okay, it's over. I probably need to get a job. And then wakata, but it wasn't a wakata. It was like a waki. You know, it was tiny. It was like a little, like, you know, thank you for hodling, but the party's starting. It's 2 a.m. Vibes are cooling, but, you know, just they closed the party up too early. That's what 2021 felt like. So we don't know this feeling from a Bitcoiner's perspective. We haven't felt this in a very long time. And I think that's why, you know, this upcoming thing, if Bitcoin follows its historical patterns, could be potentially bullish. And I could be reading the tea leaves here. It could be totally wrong. And this is speculation and don't trade on it. Just stay humble, stack sats. But I'm telling you, Opti, am I crazy? Am I the only one feeling this way or seeing this?
Well, I mean, I've been saying it before we had all this crazy stuff play out this year. I was saying in the beginning of the year, I forget when, you guys can fact check me, but I feel like ever since April or March, I've been saying like 300K seems to be in play. And even if you believe in the diminishing returns theory, which is obviously bigger number means Bitcoin price isn't going to go as high as it can. If we even play that out and you look at this chart here, and let me pull it up one more time for you guys, you can see that even on diminishing return standard, if we did a 10x from here, you know, that's a 16x in a whole bull cycle. That's less than the last cycle, but that still means, you know, $1 million Bitcoin. So even if we're only going to do a 10x throughout this whole cycle, that's 4 more X's from here, which is, you know, roughly around $400,000. So I know we're entering in to big numbers here. And Nico, I have the same feeling as you. It really feels like we all have PTSD, especially us in the chat, you know, but like the big institutional managers, I saw a VanEck report this morning saying like 180K is their like target right now. And it doesn't feel like Bitcoin's going to do only a 50% increase or 80% increase on the last leg of the bull run, where historically Bitcoin does what's the numbers that Sailor always says? It's like 40% APR every year. So this is the part of the cycle where Bitcoin runs and does the suddenly moment. So I don't know. I'm with you. I think 50% increase by the next year, which is like the last leg of the bull run, that seems more unlikely than, say, some crazy number move from here. And even if you believe in diminishing returns mean, that's still
it's real
4x, obviously. But I
real.
But shouts out to Marty Bent. PodComp approved Marty Bent here for saying that this time is different. I'm talking to a lot of Bitcoiners, and we're all kind of having the same idea. Like, this time does feel different. Yes, bro. Bitcoiners say it forever, but this time is actually different because of, presidential candidates, the US Strategic Bitcoin Reserves. You have the ETF and option market. Now you're having.
You were here. You were here for 2017. Sorry to interrupt you. You were here for 2017. Remember the cope that we told ourselves in 2018? You remember one of the excuses? It was the institutions are here.
Oh, yeah. And now they're here.
The institutions are here. We would say that in 2018 while the price of Bitcoin was like falling, like 20K. I think it bottomed out like 3,500, whatever. It was like dark, right? Like your emotions are into it. Seeing your net worth just evaporate like that. It was terrible, right? But one of the coping mechanisms was the institutions are here, bro. The institutions are here. No, they weren't. They took a couple more years to get there. But the thing is, they're here now, right? The ETF was approved in January. I think we're only up like 100% this year, like 120%. I know like that sounds like a lot. Wall Street, you're like, Nico, that's just fuck done. What are you talking about? But in Bitcoin terms, that's really not a lot. Right.
Yeah. What Higher Calling said, only a 10x. Welcome to Bitcoin.
It's so true. It's so true. All right, everybody, let's get to the news. We have lots to talk about. Let's check it out.
Very special shout out to our sponsor, Compass Mining. They make Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone, from beginners to experienced investors. Their turnkey miners gets you online and hashing within 48 hours, making it easier than ever to start your mining journey. Plus, with their active marketplace, you can resell your miner at any time, adding flexibility and value to your investment. Visit their website to access a wealth of resources, learning everything you need to know about Bitcoin mining. Take your first step into the world of Bitcoin mining with confidence. Discover more at compassmining.io. Again, compassmining.io, and see how Compass Mining can power your success. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US, and it integrates seamlessly with their free app called Envoy. Passport is fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a classic feature phone, so you'll know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. It's also air-gapped, meaning Bitcoin stays offline, never touching an internet connection. It's Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, air-gap security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes with Passport at foundation.xyz/simply. Get peace of mind for your piece of Bitcoin.
All right, everybody. So here's Opti. You can't get Opti, but you can get the Passport that is in Opti's hands. You guys want to take self-custody of your cheese, of your Bitcoin. And you can't do it. You could do it, but I definitely recommend a cold storage hardware wallet. The Passport by Foundation Devices doesn't sacrifice security for convenience. In fact, it makes spending cold storage Bitcoin incredibly easy with the QR code and the camera. It's awesome. And if you use promo code SIMPLY, you'll get a discount. You won't get Opti, but you will get a discount. Anyways, everybody.
For the right price, you could get me.
As a joke, YouTube.
Yeah, okay. All right. Enough trolling. I forget. I can't troll here. All right. Anyways, guys.
What are we talking about today?
I apologize up front. We are talking politics in the news. I think this is
what?
I know.
That was over.
Yeah, well, it almost is. And moving forward, we'll probably be more critical if they don't do a lot of stuff that us Bitcoiners like. But we do have a little update here for those that aren't following American politics as closely as we are. Obviously, we've been covering the last couple of weeks. Dennis Porter's out there talking about state adoption of Bitcoin. We have Cynthia Lummis talking about the federal adoption of Bitcoin as a strategic reserve stockpile. Well, we finally got the Trump Treasury Secretary pick. And you can see here from CNN, obviously they're a little biased here, but it says Trump names billionaire Scott Bessent as Treasury Secretary pick. Now, what does this have to do with Bitcoin? Well, let's just play a little clip of him and what he thinks about Bitcoin. And we'll kind of break down what he said and whether he maybe or maybe doesn't understand Bitcoin as much as we do. But that's besides the point. Let's listen to this.
I've been excited about the president's embrace of crypto, and I think it fits very well with the Republican Party.
Nuts.
The ethos of crypto's about freedom, and
that's so crazy.
The crypto economy is here to stay. The Democrats are running from it because they're trying to wash off the stench of Sam Bankman-Fried and his family's donations to the Democratic Party. So they're willing to take down a whole industry because of bad behavior on their part, bad behavior one actor. And I think that everything's on the table with Bitcoin. And to me, one of the most exciting things about Bitcoin is for a generation of investors who maybe post the great financial crisis have been looking for investment opportunities, or maybe they'd soured on markets. Crypto is bringing in young people. It's bringing in the people who haven't participated in markets, and having a market culture in the U.S. and people believing that markets work for them is a centerpiece of capitalism.
So it looks like we traded, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen for Scott Bessent. And hey, personally, it seems like he was struggling to get through that a little bit. And,
I don't care.
I know. And then moving forward, there has been some skepticism. First of all, is Parker Lewis. He's here and he's like, this guy doesn't understand anything about Bitcoin. Like, how do you make him head of the Treasury or Secretary for 2024 or 2025? And of course, doesn't understand Bitcoin. Kind of like that take, obviously. And then here is Max Kaiser, which is basically the only job the Treasury Secretary has to get is to get out of the way of Bitcoin. And based on that clip, it seems like maybe we've upgraded our Treasury Secretary, of course, from Janet Yellen, who historically has been very bad in regards to Bitcoin, to this guy who is at least publicly being favorable in regards to Bitcoin. Of course, saying Bitcoin is freedom. Basically, it's a new economic opportunity for the younger generations, that Bitcoin is freedom. And as his quote was, everything is on the table for Bitcoin. So we'll see exactly how this plays out, whether Parker Lewis is right. This guy doesn't understand Bitcoin. You could argue that maybe Trump doesn't fully understand Bitcoin, but as long as they're talking favorably about Bitcoin, I think this is good. Now, I think the number is up to, I forget what it is, like 10 or 11 Bitcoiners in the Trump cabinet being pro-Bitcoin, which is now further, further data points that this is the most favorable Bitcoin president we've ever had. Love him or hate him, he is a divisive figure, but it seems like Bitcoin is going to have a lot of running room for 2025 or the next 4 years, rather, in the Trump administration. So it seems like we got a pro-Bitcoin Secretary of Treasury, which is obviously bullish for Bitcoin as the price. There's definitely concerns of kind of what I said in the beginning of Wall Street trying to co-opt Bitcoin. It's not just about number go up, it's about freedom go up, but it looks like we are going to have favorable legislation in regards to Bitcoin. Now, I do kind of have, a personal caveat here about Scott Bessent because he is, I'll just put it this way. I'll put it nicely. You guys could do your research on it, but some of his friends and his historical connections aren't the best. Well, he is basically George Soros' prodigy and was a part of the
Wait,
sterling pound. You know, the shorting of the pound. Yeah, it's completely true. So there is some trade-offs and caveats here.
Wait, hold on. You have to when you make that sort of claim,
dude. You talk, and I'll pull it up.
Okay, so he's connected to some sketchy thing about shorting the pound, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so he's not perfect. Is he an improvement than where we are right now?
100%. Okay, so here you go. Served as CIO at Soros Fund Management, partner with George Soros. You know, driving force behind Soros' 1992 shorting of the British pound. So hey, you know, he's a Wall Street guy, but you know, it'd be a missed opportunity if we didn't talk about it. But hey, his Bitcoin position is very favorable, and it sounds a lot better than what we're hearing from Janet Yellen. So only time will tell, Nico. But anyways, now that you have all the information, Nico, what's your thoughts on this?
First of all, we're at 191 likes. Guys, if you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to smash that like button. It really, really helps with the algos and pushes this content forward. I mean, dude, like this current administration, I don't think it's about Sam SBF. I think they're ideologically opposed. I think that they want a CBDC. I think Bitcoin is a competition to a CBDC. So, you know, they want to create kind of like this monopoly environment where that CBDC can thrive, because if people have a choice between Bitcoin and a CBDC, I think all roads lead to Bitcoin. It's just better money. It's inevitable. So they kind of have to coerce people into a continuation of their system. Now, again, a caveat here, right? Fundamentally, these are all politicians going into government. And Bitcoin, in my opinion, if you let it do its thing, like, not in a forceful manner, it just makes government smaller, because it kind of limits the ability for government to print money the way they see fit. And the way the print money is how they pay for things, essentially. You know, and they'll dress it up and they'll say deficit spending and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And, the debt and like whatever. Elon simplified it when he was doing all his like tours for the Trump campaign. But he was like, basically like, look, inflation is a tax. Like when they print money, that's a tax. Like, essentially, it's not a direct tax, not income tax, but it's a tax, and it's a tax to pay for government spending. So, you know, like we've all seen the meme, right? No matter whether it's red or blue, they both do the same thing. They print money and they deficit spend and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, now that we have Bitcoin kind of coming in, you know, are Bitcoin's incentives, that's the key thing here. Are Bitcoin's incentives greater than the incentives provided by the fiat money printer? Full stop. I think that's the question. Are Bitcoin's incentives greater? I think yes. I think it's not going to be perfect. I don't want, the last thing I want is people to have all these high expectations to be like, Orange Man is going to pump this to them. Even though he promised us that at the Bitcoin conference. He's like, I'm going to make you guys rich. That's what he said.
Well, Nico, rhetorically speaking, Trump has pumped our bags just by being elected.
Yeah,
so.
It's great. The Trump pump.
I'll give it to him.
The Trump pump. You got to give it to him. I mean, we did pump from like 60 to like almost 100. So, I mean, he is kind of right. Yeah, I don't know. Dude, this is what I was saying in the beginning of the show, Opti. This is what we were talking about in the numbers. How could you not be bullish heading into next year? And you're going to tell me with all these people that are like going to get out of the way, even if they're not like 100% good, like they're definitely better than what we have right now, which is like open hostility, right? Proposed mining taxes and like whatever. No, they're saying they made it part of their party platform to get the F out of the way and to support the industry. So even if they keep 25% of their promise, that's better than where we are right now. So, and they're all saying like, I like Bitcoin. So like they would have to like essentially do like a 180-degree turn and be like, you know what? Actually, this Bitcoin thing is a scam. We don't like it anymore. Like I'm telling you, the reason that it's so unbelievable for most people to picture this is because they're scarred from what happened in 2021. Everyone is still kind of like, oh man, like, you know, diminishing return. That's the isn't that the narrative this time around, Opti? It's like diminishing returns, Bitcoin is boring, it's over, it's this, it's that. Like that's the narrative this time. I feel it, bro. And I still think Bitcoin has so much life in it. It's infinity divided by 21 million, right? And this thing's gonna like, it's a black hole. Like it's just gonna swallow everything up because it's just a better store of value. It's as simple as that. I mean, Saylor has described it in so many different types of ways, but it's a better store of value. Look, I was like, I forget who I was talking to this about with, but like, you're like a higher net worth individual. You have to play shenanigans to get a return. You have to get real estate, you know, the S&P, like an index fund, and like, you know, good return, whatever, 6-8%. Are you really beating inflation? Like if you trust the numbers, you are, but are you, right? With Bitcoin, it's like you get a solid 20-30% without paying fees, without having to rely on someone else, without someone else holding your money. I mean, it's just better. So, you know, and now that the US government is potentially going to buy some, and then they're saying that they're going to get out of the way from a regulatory perspective, bro. I mean, let's see January 20th. I think that's when what's the saying? When rubber meets the road, I think that's the saying. And let's see, I want to see, I'm going to really be paying attention to this. He said free Ross day one. So is Ross like, okay, fine, January 20th, maybe that's asking.
And he doubled down that said all, what do you say? All promises will be kept.
Yeah. So maybe it's too much to ask on January 20th, but I'm telling you, if it's going to be January 25th and Ross is still not out of prison, I'm going to be a little bit upset. I'm not going to lie. And you'll be like, Nico, the joke's on you. You know, you trusted a politician.
Yeah, I can make fun of you then.
F you, dude. I tried. At least I tried to free Ross. You know, so my conscience is clear. You know, I don't foresee that happening. I think the Bitcoin donor class is becoming more and more influential and more powerful as Number Go Up does its thing. And as Number Go Up does its thing and more Bitcoiners become very wealthy, obviously their influence over society is going to grow. That's the inevitable. That's how it works, right? And you know, the more influence you have over society, the more kind of influence you have over politicians, right? The donor base, like Washington D.C. is run by donors. That's how it works. It's not supposed to. It's not the way that's supposed to work, but that's how it works. So now you have the military-industrial complex being a part of the donor class. You have all these all these companies, you know, like, you know, everyone sees it the world. Like I call that the Quintillionaire conference, the Quintillionaire donor class versus the Bitcoin donor class, right? So we've never seen the Bitcoin donor class. We don't even know what this is like. We don't even know what winning feels like, right? So we could be entering into a year where there's nothing to compare it to, going back to what Tuur Demester was saying, what Marty was saying, what Opti's saying, what I'm saying. There is nothing to compare 2025 to in a historic sense in Bitcoin's history. 2017 was not like this. It was 100% retail driven, and it was a mania, and it was the ICO boom. None of this Wall Street stuff here. Like there was no ETF. There was no government approval. There wasn't a president saying he's going to not sell Bitcoin to a Bitcoin conference. Like even Trump said it. This is my last bit because I've been rambling, but even Trump said it. One of the things that he said in his speech in Nashville, he was like, you know, this industry is still in its infancy. So, and I agree with him. And it's very hard to picture this. Look, if I told you what the internet was going to be like in 1997, 1998, you would not have believed me. You would have been like, what do you mean? You're going to be hosting a show over the internet? and you're going to be streaming it to 4,000 people. What about the bandwidth? And like, that's impossible. How people aren't going to use that. What are you talking about? Like, that's how hard it is to comprehend what it is I'm saying. But if you use common sense, it's obvious. It's not rocket science. Like it's all lining up. It's all lining up. Now, does that mean anything is guaranteed? No. I mean, that's where the speculation comes in, right? But, I'm very confident. Someone in the chat shorting to 20K, guys. I'm very confident in number go up, and I'm feeling really good about 2025. Let's see if I'm wrong. I'll leave it at that. All right.
Hold on.
Bro, we're pumping it up. It's Monday. We got to have fun. All right, everybody. Let's hit the culture. We have lots to talk about today. Let's check it out.
To our sponsor, HIVE Digital Technologies. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's been battle tested through every possible market. And as the first with an AI strategy, HIVE continues to redefine the future of sustainable energy. Also, gotta casually drop this in here, HIVE consistently tops the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're changing the game. Learn more by following them at HIVE Digital Tech or check out their website, hivedigitaltech.com.
Before we jump into the culture, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, BitBlockBoom. BitBlockBoom is a true Bitcoin conference, guys. It's one of the best Bitcoin conferences of the year, and it's going to be in the great state of Texas. It's going to be in the city of Dallas, April 3rd, April 4th, April 5th, and April 6th. The entire Simply Bitcoin crew will be there. Dante, Rustin, Opti, Nico, Sophie, Jacob, everybody. It's going to be, and maybe perhaps we'll bring the crazy Zoomers too, who are absolutely badasses. So it's going to be a party, guys. You definitely don't want to miss this. By the way, this is the first conference where me and Opti actually met in person. Like, that is the historical significance of BitBlockBoom to Simply Bitcoin. This is the perfect conference to network. This is the perfect conference to meet some of your favorite Bitcoiners that perhaps in the bigger conferences, they get a little bit lost. There's too many people. The BitBlockBoom is the perfect conference for that one-to-one connection. Highly recommend it. Get your tickets now. Use promo code BBB21 for $100 off. Again, BitBlockBoom 2025. All right, I'm going to open this and have kind of like an open discussion with Opti. And I want to talk about El Salvador. The reason I want to talk about El Salvador is because me and Opti were just in El Salvador. We were there for a week. I think this is the second or third time that Opti and I have been there. We had an epic setup. Sophie, thank you for shouldering it and, packing yourself into an apartment of the whole Simply Bitcoin crew.
Simply Bitcoin mother.
But we had a sick setup. It was like facing the volcano. I love those shows. It was like one of the best backdrops we've ever had. I didn't think it was going to be that epic. Shout out to Murphy and Reverend Hoddle for helping us to set up everything. And those lights, man, those lights are so bad. They were so huge. They were so perfect. Those lights, they lit up the face. Amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was so blinding, dude. I didn't like those lights. It was literally a spotlight.
We were backlit, bro. Like, I mean, it was gnarly. So anyways, we just had this adventure in El Salvador. We streamed the Adopting Bitcoin conference. Had some interesting adventures there, with the internet in the middle of the jungle, but it was a great experience at the end of the day. But I do want to talk about El Salvador because Opti, you and I, we kind of explored the city a little bit, went out to eat. We were walking on the streets, and you and I are both Hispanic, for anyone who doesn't know. I'm originally from Venezuela. Opti's originally from Mexico. So what would you say is like the difference? Like, I feel it for me more so than the infrastructure and the streets and whatever, even though it is getting like cleaned up without a doubt, it's the people, bro. I feel the vibe shift it's very, very difficult to describe, but you see hope in people. And regularly I would feel very unsafe in the walking through certain neighborhoods and certain situations. And it's not that maybe I felt like, okay, I had to like look over my shoulder sometime. That was like the natural reaction, but I felt like I felt a lot safer. Like if I was doing that in the Dominican Republic or something, like I would be sketched out. But in El Salvador, I felt like, I was like, I think I'll be okay. And I really felt that. I have not been to El Salvador and found myself in a situation. And you know what? Like you feel it in your gut. These are the types of, you find yourself in those situations in Latin America. If you know, where you find yourself in a predicament, in your gut, it's telling you you are in danger. All right. You feel it. It's like this, like little, like your hairs stand in the back of your neck and you're like, okay, maybe I should not have walked down this street. Right. You feel that. You get those vibes. I have not felt that one time since I've been to El Salvador. And I've done some, like there was one time where my shoes broke and I got into like an Uber and I'm like, hey, my shoes broke. I need super glue. And he took me to a bodega and I go to the bodega and I try to pay in Bitcoin. And they're like, no, we don't accept Bitcoin. And I'm like, and I try to pay with my card and they're like, no, we don't accept Bitcoin. And there's a guy next to me, total stranger. And he offered to pay. He's like, he had like a quarter or something and he paid and I super glued my shoes and whatever. But that's the type of shit you don't do, right? It's not like people go missing, right? And I was just like, I did not feel unsafe. And I'm just talking about the capital, San Salvador, because that's been the majority of my experiences. But again, I've talked to the people. The airport is so nice. It's like they clean it up. It's incredible. It's like very clean. I think this is a combination of the Bukele effect. Like his leadership is, you cannot deny the guy has, increased the quality of life in that country, which is why I believe he's as popular as he is. Who would have thought, right? This is the job of a president. Who would have thought? And then I think it's making Bitcoin legal tender, which fixes the base layer of society, which I know it's going to take a little bit of time for them to fully feel that effect. But I'm telling you, there's something really deep about that. Like, there's something different about being in Bitcoin country. And I asked Kaiser about it when he came on the news desk during adopting Bitcoin. I said, like, what is this? And his answer was short and sweet, but he says, like, El Salvador is the first country that has gone out of the fourth turning. Mic drop. And that's when I'm going to pass it on to Opti. Opti, do you agree with me? As a Hispanic, as a Latin American, do you see the hope? Do you see the esperanza in El Salvador? What's your take?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first of all, Nico, I think you did kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, it's still a developing country, obviously. This is the first time I've been in the capital, San Salvador. I've been, at Bitcoin Beach. We've gone a little farther, and the vibes on the beach are, obviously, it feels great. It feels very like tropical, and you're like, you're sitting in the cabana, you're going in the water, you're eating some good food. It feels a little more like touristy, like more of a tourist destination. But being in the city, I was, maybe I was a little too bullish. And I expected it to be, fully developed, but obviously it's a developing country, but you can definitely feel the vibes there. And that's kind of was the most interesting part about it. We walked around, I forget what it was, like the historic capital. Nico, actually, he was hanging out. So it was me, Jacob, and Sophie. And we got the kid, we got baby Nico with us the whole time. We're pushing it around in the stroller. And you could definitely feel like there is a palpable sense of like hopefulness and people being encouraging of tourists, and there is no like weird looks or anything. And it's like, I don't know. It's hard to explain because there is like a vibe there where you can tell people are happy. They're obviously in love with Bukele and what he's done for their country. Not only did he make the country safer, but by embracing Bitcoin, he's put El Salvador on the map. And it is going to be very interesting to see what El Salvador does in the next 10 or 20 years, if they can leapfrog a lot of these nations and become a superpower in Latin and Central South America. America, because, you know, we weren't at that close to the Google building, but from our apartment, you can see around the corner, like the Google building was there. So it is very incredible what Bukele has done. Obviously, it takes a while to completely turn a country around, but like the vibes there are great. The people are friendly. You know, the people are very hopeful. You can just feel like there is an energy there of people wanting to not only get better, but like understanding that they are on the world stage now, and what they're doing there is very important. And obviously Bitcoin is a part of that. And so going down there, seeing the city was great. We had a blast in the jungle. The venue for adopting Bitcoin was awesome. You know, the only caveat was the storms and the fact that our internet kept messing with us. Other than that, we had a great time. We were eating steak the whole time. Like it was great, man. I had fun.
Dude, the steak, man, it's crazy. The quality of the steak there, incredible. Yeah, man, I agree with that assessment. It's just, you know, amazing country, very, very bullish about its future. And what Bukele has done in just short amount of time. I mean, it proves, like, isn't it crazy, Opti, that, you know, a president, like, he gets into office and he lowers crime and he creates a positive environment for private property and small business to thrive, and small business thrives and everyone wins and, you know, everyone gets wealthier. Isn't that crazy? It's like such a crazy concept. Like, it's so simple for us. Like, it's like, yeah, just, you know, create a safe environment so that people feel safe and they can raise their family, protect private property. That's the whole role of, that's why we're paying for government, not to go to war. That's not why we pay for government, right? It's to protect private property. It's to create a safe environment where you can kind of raise your kids and you don't have to look over your shoulder and whatever. And he created that. And look at that. He's very popular for it. Ooh, like it's not difficult, you know, but I think fiat has like Frankensteined like politicians, so driving.
He's trolling.
I think politicians have been like, they Frankenstein what the role of government should be, because they feel empowered by fiat and the money printer. Like I think it's intoxicating for them. Like, it must be a power. Can you imagine, like, everyone spends hours like working their asses off for like this money, and then all of a sudden you like win a popularity contest and you're like, college for everyone is free. Like, dude, that must be intoxicating. Like that power must be crazy. And I think over the decades, it bloats these politicians' egos, and then you kind of end in a situation where you are today in the United States, where it's like all the money printing, all this thing, we're like in the wealthiest country, and then the middle class can't afford homes. I wasn't like that 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Supposedly we were poor back then. What happened? It's fiat. It's fiat. It's like money. It's the broken financial system. This is what Bitcoin's all about, right? So anyways, I'm glad that we don't have to talk about elections anymore. I'm glad we don't have to talk about politics. But you know, at the end of the day, this is Bitcoin. Bitcoin fixes a lot of things. By the way, you don't have to wait or move to El Salvador to start benefiting from Bitcoin. You could start doing that today. And all you got to do is buy Bitcoin, earn Bitcoin, mine Bitcoin, put that Bitcoin in self-custody, and bam, bam, bing, boom, bang, you're gonna benefit. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be phenomenal. You're gonna love it.
Wait, do that again.
Bam, bam, bing, boom, bang.
Oh man, wow, that's great. Yeah, man, it's definitely interesting to see what El Salvador is doing. Like that's Kaiser quote, first country to leave the floor turning. Like, I think that's a very powerful observation. And I think, you know, the next 5-10 years is going to be interesting, not just to watch what happens in El Salvador, but watch what's happening in, you know, European countries when they're actively fighting Bitcoin. It's going to be very interesting to see if the US does embrace Bitcoin, or rather, like, you know, does a little more laissez-faire and like stops trying to cripple the industry. It is going to be very interesting to see what countries do when there is a fork in the road, and whether they embrace Bitcoin or not. I think it's fundamentally going to show who the winners and losers are going to be moving forward in this, you know, latter part of this decade and moving into the next decade. And Nayib Bukele will forever be the first president to adopt Bitcoin, the first country to adopt Bitcoin. And I think that's really changing the trajectory of their country. And now we're seeing that the laggards are going to have to follow soon. So hopefully, I'm US centric. I'm more of an American supremacist here than Nico, but I believe in the idea of American excellence. And I really do want to see America embrace Bitcoin, especially considering we are the world economic power right now. And, again, quoting Kaiser, if Trump and his administration is smart, then they're going to be following Bukele's lead. And you're going to see the exponential growth from all of these countries that, again, either embrace Bitcoin or the exponential, I don't know what the opposite is, decline of these countries that don't embrace Bitcoin.
I think the way that you phrase it, which is like, you're just America first. You're like, okay, let me put America first, because
again, guys, I'm an American public school student, so I only think about America.
but I want to emphasize this. Like, just because you're like, okay, I want to put my country first.
Dr. Jack in the chat. Let's go.
Donald J. Trump is not a Bukele. Dr. Jack, by the way, we just finished editing your talk, which got ripped because the internet went conveniently down at a specific time. We had to put the video through processing and whatever, all this crazy stuff. We have it ready. It'll be uploaded soon on Twitter. Anyways, that being said, you guys have to check out this Dr. Jack's talk from adopting Bitcoin. It was mind-blowing. And unfortunately, me and Ati were running around trying to figure out the tech situation while this amazing talk was happening.
Dr. Jack roasted me. So you guys, there's a funny moment there where I got roasted because of my blue lights.
I have blue light blocking glasses. I'm not wearing them right now.
It changed my whole trajectory. That was a powerful speech. I've been binge watching Dr. Jack content, and I'm like so wrecked in my apartment. I'm like, the blue light's killing me.
Dude,
I'm waking up earlier. I'm getting some sun on me in the morning. Dr. Jack, the message heard.
First thing you do, you wake up, you get sun in your eye. 100%.
Wait, Nico, you're getting trolled. You got to wear them, bro. I'm gonna buy some soon, Dr. J. If you don't know, watch the presentation.
We're gonna be posting it this week. We had to process the audio out of it last week, but it's ready. We've been working on it. Shout out Murphy, because he's really come through. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and if you guys did, make sure to smash that like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. But again, the number one thing you could do to help push the peaceful Bitcoin revolution is share this content. In fact, share all Bitcoin content, get the message out there. That's really how we win. Really winning over the hearts and minds of individuals. Anyways, guys, love you all. We'll be back tomorrow for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. I'm your co-host, Nico. Opti in the host seat today, 3 days in a row. Absolutely crushing it.
Nico, why am I keep doing your job, bro?
I've been busy running the business, bro.
I'm trolling.
All right, guys, love you all. We'll see you tomorrow.
Brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.